The NBA has handed out suspensions following a chaotic melee between the Detroit Pistons and Minnesota Timberwolves on Sunday. 5 players were suspended as a result of the brawl that erupted in the second quarter. Pistons forward last center Stewart received a 2-game suspension, while Detroit's Holland and guard Sasser, as well as Minnesota's Reid and guard Donte were suspended for 1 game each. The incident began when, with 8:36 remaining in the second quarter, Holland committed a foul on Reid as Reid attempted a layup. Reid retaliated verbally and gestured angrily, prompting DiVincenzo, positioned nearby, to step in between the 2 players. Tensions escalated quickly. DiVincenzo put his hands on Holland's torso, and a physical exchange ensued with hard shoves traded between the 2. As the situation intensified, DiVincenzo grabbed Holland by the shoulders and wrestled him to the ground. What started as a one-on-one altercation soon snowballed into a full-scale melee, with multiple players and coaches from both teams joining the fray. The scuffle even spilled over into the baseline stands behind the Pistons' basket, where some individuals got involved, while others, like Minnesota's Rudy Gobert, attempted to break up the brawl. The chaos saw DiVincenzo and Stewart rejoin the fray in the stands, with fans nearby bracing themselves for the mayhem. Ultimately, the confrontation resulted in 7 ejections, including key figures such as Pistons head coach J.B. Bickerstaff, Timberwolves assistant Pablo Prigioni, as well as Reid, DiVincenzo, Stewart, Holland, and Sasser. After the game, Bickerstaff criticized Prigioni for his remarks, emphasizing that he would not allow his players to be disparaged. "We're going to defend each other," Bickerstaff said, acknowledging that while he understood the referee's decisions at the moment, such conduct simply wasn't acceptable. On the court, Detroit was leading 39-29 when the fight broke out. However, the Pistons found themselves down by 3 players after the melee, while the Timberwolves were shorthanded by 2. Capitalizing on their numerical advantage, Minnesota outscored Detroit by 29 points following the incident, ultimately winning the game 123-104. In addition to the suspensions, the game was marred by technical fouls, 4 issued to the Pistons and 3 to the Timberwolves. The technicals resulted in free throws. Minnesota's Mike Conley converted 1, and Pistons' Luka Garza later hit 2 free throws following a technical on Reid after his ejection. Despite the disruptions, the game continued with roughly 3 quarters still to play. The suspensions are set to take effect, with Reid and Donte DiVincenzo missing Tuesday's game against the Denver Nuggets, while Holland II, Marcus Sasser, and Stewart begin serving their suspensions on Wednesday. Stewart's longer suspension was influenced by his previous disciplinary history, according to NBA Executive Vice President Joe Dumars. This melee and its aftermath underscore the intensity of competition in the NBA and serve as a stark reminder of the league's commitment to maintaining order and discipline on the court.
What's up, basketball fanatics? Welcome back to the channel for some breaking news out of the NBA that involves a heated on-court clash and subsequent suspensions. The league has just announced disciplinary action against 5 players following a wild melee that broke out during Sunday's game between the Detroit Pistons and the Minnesota Timberwolves. We're going to break down which players have been suspended, for how long, and the details of the incident that led to this disciplinary action. Let's get right into this developing story. The NBA has officially announced the suspensions stemming from the physical altercation that occurred between the Detroit Pistons and the Minnesota Timberwolves on Sunday. According to NBA Executive Vice President and Head of Basketball Operations Joe Dumars, a total of 5 players will be facing bans. Leading the way with a 2-game suspension is Pistons forward center Stewart. Joining him with 1-game suspensions are 2 of his Pistons teammates, forward Holland II and guard Marcus Sasser. From the Minnesota Timberwolves, center forward Reid and guard Donte DiVincenzo will each serve a 1-game suspension. The video you sent over highlights that Stewart's longer suspension of 2 games was influenced by his prior disciplinary history in the league. This suggests that the NBA took his past incidents into consideration when determining the length of his ban. As for when these suspensions will take effect, Reid and DiVincenzo of the Timberwolves will begin serving their 1-game bans tonight, Tuesday, April 2nd, when their team faces off against the Denver Nuggets. The three Pistons players involved, Holland, Sasser, and Stewart, will begin their respective suspensions on Wednesday. Now, let's get into the details of how this scuffle unfolded. The incident occurred with 8 minutes and 36 seconds remaining in the second quarter of the game. The video describes that it started when Holland fouled Reid as Reid was attempting a layup. Immediately after the foul, Reid had some words for Holland and pointed towards his face, clearly unhappy with the play. Donte DiVincenzo of the Timberwolves was nearby and quickly stepped in between the two players as they began to approach each other. DiVincenzo then placed his hands on Holland's torso, and the situation escalated as the two players exchanged hard shoves. Even after the initial separation, Holland continued to stare down Reid. That's when DiVincenzo intervened again, grabbing Holland by his shoulders and wrestling him towards the ground. From that point on, as the video succinctly puts it, it was on. The initial altercation quickly drew in multiple players and coaches from both the Pistons and the Timberwolves. The melee spilled over into the baseline stands behind the Pistons basket, with players and coaches from both sides getting involved in the physical confrontation. While some individuals actively participated in the pushing and shoving, others, like Minnesota's Rudy Gobert, could be seen attempting to pull players apart and restore order. In the midst of the chaos, Donte DiVincenzo ended up back down into the second row of the stands with Isaiah Stewart on top of him. Fans in the immediate vicinity could be seen holding out their arms, seemingly bracing themselves amidst the unexpected turn of events. Eventually, calm was restored as players and coaches managed to pull those involved out of the pile. However, the aftermath of the ruckus resulted in a total of 7 ejections from the game. These ejections included Pistons head coach J.B. Bickerstaff and Timberwolves assistant coach Pablo Prigioni. The 4 players who were suspended, Reid, DiVincenzo, Stewart, and Holland, were also ejected, along with Pistons guard Marcus Sasser. Following the game, Pistons head coach J.B. Bickerstaff made some pointed comments, specifically calling out Timberwolves assistant coach Pablo Prigioni. While the video doesn't specify exactly what Prigioni said that set Bickerstaff off, the Pistons coach made it clear that he was defending his players. "We're going to defend each other," Bickerstaff said. "I'm not going to let people say belligerent things about my guys. And it's that simple." In that moment, I understand the ref's position, but you just can't say anything to people or about people and expect it to be okay. This suggests that there might have been some verbal exchanges that contributed to the escalation of the physical altercation. At the time the fight broke out, the Detroit Pistons were actually holding a 39-29 lead over the Timberwolves. However, the ejections significantly impacted both teams. The Pistons were down 3 players for the remainder of the game, while the Timberwolves were down 2. From that point forward, Minnesota outscored Detroit by a significant margin of 29 points, ultimately rallying for a 123-104 victory. In terms of additional penalties during the game, the Pistons were issued a total of 4 technical fouls as a result of the incident, while the Timberwolves received 3 technical fouls. This resulted in 1 technical free throw for the Timberwolves, which was made by Mike Conley. Additionally, Pistons player Luka Garza subbed in to shoot 2 free throws for the foul that was committed on Reid, after Reid had already been ejected from the game. Despite the significant disruption caused by the melee and the subsequent ejections, the game continued with the better part of 3 quarters left to play. The Timberwolves managed to regroup and secure the win, but the focus in the aftermath has undoubtedly been on the fight and the resulting suspensions. This incident serves as a reminder of the intense emotions that can run high during NBA games and the league's commitment to maintaining order and sportsmanship on the court. The suspensions handed down by the NBA reflect the seriousness with which they view such physical altercations, especially when they spill over into the stands and involve multiple players and coaches. What are your thoughts on these suspensions? Do you think they were appropriate given the circumstances? Which player do you think was most responsible for escalating the situation? Share your opinions in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more NBA news and analysis, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any updates on this story and the rest of the NBA season. We'll catch you in the next one.